So a pleasant day to all of you, especially to our panelists. So we are the researchers for today. We are the group 10. We are here to discuss our research study, which is all about the impacts of technology on the academic performance of the grade 12 STEM students in the new normal at St. James School of SUBIC Incorporated. So for today, we are the presenters. I'm the team leader. I'm Majie G. Ahari Jr.
I'm Ryan P. Capilitan.
I'm Jhon Rey Combenido.
I'm Christopher Mana.
And I'm Mark Deiniel L. San Diego.
And we are from grade 12 STEM. So for the introduction or the background of the study for our research, so I want to give you a little keywords on what we can found on our research title. So firstly, it is revolving all about the concept of technology. So when we talk about technology, it is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in the industry. So this as defined by the Merriam-Webster dictionary. But ever since before, technology could be only found in different parts of the industry, such as the business field, the entertainment field, or anywhere other. But today, we can also see that technology is also applied in the educational sector. This is because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which urged different educational institutions to devise a new strategy of learning wherein technology had been incorporated because of its different advantages. So we all know that technology is applied in the different sectors of the industry, and in this case, its use should be aligned with the educational needs and requirements of the users. This is according to Karanat Hilake 2020. So again, when we talk about technologies, the basic application of scientific knowledge in life. But in the study, we had also pertained it to the gadgets, devices, appliances that the students use in their everyday lives, such as their cell phones, televisions, laptops, or computer sets that aid in their education or in their entertainment. So another important term that we had mentioned in the research title is the academic performance. So when we talk about the academic performance, this pertains to the grades being received by the students. So this reflects the academic achievements, requirements, tasks that the student submits, and the academic performance therefore could be used as a basis on how the student performs on his or her class. So for the context of the education in the new normal, so there are actually different learning modalities which are applied in this new normal education. So these are approaches on how the students can educate themselves. So for St. James School of Subic Incorporated, they offered two different learning modalities. So these are the modular distance learning, which is done by distributing printed self-learning modules to different students wherein they could read and answer it within a specific period of time with the distance supervision of the teachers. So where meanwhile, the another one is the online learning wherein the modules are posted online through the Google Classroom or the learning management system, which is also managed and monitored by the teachers. So another important term that is mentioned in the research title is the new normal. So in this case, we are conducting the study of by identifying the impacts of technology on the academic performance of the students in the context of the new normal. This is because ever since before, technology has already been applied in different educational institutions around the world. By in means they have populated the word e-learning. But in the Philippines, technology has only been completely incorporated in educational sector because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we would continue to identify if this impacts to the academic performance of the students in this study. So when we talk about the new normal, it is about the pandemic and the post-pandemic time. So in short, it is the time of today. So the research objectives are the following. So well formulated three. So the first objective of the study is to use the is to identify if the use of technology as a learning platform at medium has an impact to the academic performance of the students. Another objective is we would want to describe the different factors on how technology can be described as a learning tool and if it helps to make the students learn or hit their necessary learning targets and competencies. And lastly, we would also want to know if the new normal way of setup of education today truly educates the learners or not. And lastly, we have the statement of the problem. We have formulated actually four. So firstly, we would want these are the research questions actually that we had addressed that we are about to answer in the findings and conclusions parts of this presentation and in this study. So firstly, we wanted to identify or know the demographics of the respondents averages in quarter one and quarter two. Secondly, we also want to identify the specific type of technologies that the students use the most, the ones devices that they engage the most for the studying and what they use in terms of availability. So the third one, we also want to know the impacts of technology as a learning tool in the new normal being described in different characteristics. So this could be in the results of their summative assessments, their productivity level, the group participation, their technology literacy, and their working convenience. And lastly, we would also want to identify the implication of this research in enhancing and developing the academic performance of the students in the new norm. So we had here the hypothesis or the null hypothesis to be specific. Actually, we had also our alternative hypothesis, but we hadn't included it in this PowerPoint presentation. So our null hypothesis states that there is no impact given by technology in the academic performance of the STEM 12 students in the new normal. So later on in the conclusions part, we would identify if this hypothesis would be rejected or accepted. So for our conceptual framework, here's Mr. Christopher Mana to discuss this. Thank you.
So for our conceptual framework, these two studies shows negative effects of online education in the new normal. So in the study according to Mordaningsi 2019, there is a decline in the academic performance of the students in online education because the students are less active at home and there is no guidance of the teacher. And for Moralista et al. 2020, his study shows that it is uncertain how effective the online education since the students learn less and there are more on cases on academic dishonesty and so on. And on the other hand, these two studies shows positive effects on online education and the other one is suggested. And for Kayadi 2020, he stated that making use of digital technologies in teaching makes the teachers to be a good decision makers and it creates more opportunities and challenges for them to improve their teaching style. And lastly, for Tokero, 2020, he suggested to create more studies and research to gather more data on the impact of the pandemic to the academic performance of the students in the new normal and to know what to respond in the educational crisis that our country are currently facing. So for the paradigm of the research process, for the input, as stated earlier in the statement of the problem, from the demographics to the implication of the research, which then will be processed through different methods and tools such as non-probability sampling method and survey questionnaires and so on, which then will be furthermore on explained in our methodology. And for our expected output, we the researchers should know if there are impacts of the technology in the academic performance of the students in the new normal. So for our scope and delimitation, our study covers in our major topic which is the impact of the technology in the students' academic performance in the new normal and our study disregards any irrelevant information such as the effects of the technology to the students' behavior and attitude and their personal perspectives and opinions.
For our research methodology, we use descriptive methods since it is the most accurate and appropriate type of method for our study. Also, it helps us in describing the entire population in terms of impact or effects of technology in their academic performance. Moreover, this method use cross-sectional design, meaning we also measured both the outcome and the exposure at the same time. Then for our samples, our chosen respondents were grade 12 students from STEM strand of Sachem School of SUBIC Incorporated, which composed of 18 males and 14 females for a total of 32 students. For the process of selecting samples, we use convenient sampling technique wherein the data collection is done from a population who are conveniently available to participate in our study. This was also suggested by our research advisor to be able for us to have an ease in selecting our samples in this pandemic situation. For our instrument, we developed survey questionnaires which transformed into survey forms through the use of Google Forms. In our data collection, we send first the letter of consent the letter of consent to our respondents as a sign of approval, and then as they have agreed, we send them later the survey questionnaire forms. We have done this process through Facebook Messenger. And for our statistical tools, we use an employed percentage, weighted mean, and Likert scale in data analysis. For percentage, we use we use it for determining the demographics of the respondents, the weighted mean for describing the impacts or the effects of technology in the academic performance, and the Likert scale for description ratings and for survey questionnaires.
So for discussing the tables and figure that presents our results and findings gathered from our methodological process, Table 1.1 shows the demographics of the respondents in terms of their age and gender. The data shows that they are 18 males, or 56.25%, and 14 females, or 43.75%. Their age ranges from 17 to 22. There are 10 respondents at the age of 17, while the majority of them are 20 or 62.50% at the age of 18, while there are only 1 or 3.13% at the age of 19 and 22. Next table, please. The table 1.2 shows the demographics of the respondents in terms of their general average in the first semester. Based on the computation and analytical processes, there, the data shows that there are only 1 or 3.13% who attained the grade of 76 to 80 and 81 to 85, while there are only 8 to 9 students or 26.56% who attained the grade of 86 to 90. The majority of them is 21 respondents or 65.60% who attained the grade of 91 to 95, while there are only 0 to 1 student who attained the 96 to 100 grade. So heading to the figure 2, the pie chart that shows the frequency of the respondents accessing the internet for their studies, we incorporated the use of pie chart to show the whole respondents as it divides the respondents based on their accessing frequently the internet for their studies. The larger part, which shows that the students access the internet very often, consists of 25 or 77.13%, while the smallest part is 7 or 21.88%. This indicates that there are no students who access the internet for their studies, sometimes or never.
Proceeding to the table 2.1, which shows what type of technology that the respondent use in their studies, the type of technologies they rely and engage the most in their academic hours, helping them in learn faster and always available and accessible for them. According to the figure, there are 14 respondents who use smartphones, 12 respondents who use laptops, and 6 respondents are computer users. For the category of type of technology that they engage the most, the reliance table shows that laptops acquire the highest frequency of, of responses in very often category with 10 or 31.25%. This indicates that laptops are the type of device which the respondents rely or integrate mostly in their academic hours. Then, for the category of type of device that help them in learning the lesson more, there are 13 or 40.60% of smartphone users among the respondents stating that this device help them in understanding lesson more. These quantities just prove that that the smartphones is the type are the type of devices which they utilize the most to learn faster in their studies. In the category of type of technology device that always available and accessible for them, both smartphones and laptops are considered the type of device that are always available for them since they got 12 and 11 responses respectively.
So heading to the part B, or the description of the impact of technology on the academic performance of the students. Table 3.1 shows the impact of the technology in terms of summative assessments. The computed overall weighted mean in this part is 3.53 and rated as very often. This indicates that the use of technology helps the student to perform with excellence in their summative assessments.
Next, table 3.2 shows the impact of technology on academic performance in terms of productivity level. So based on the results, the computed overall weighted mean was 3.66, which interpreted as very often. So this depicts that the productivity level of the respondents is boosted when they integrate or use technologies in their studies or in academic hours.
For the next table, table 3.3, or the impact of the technology in terms of group participation. The computed overall weighted mean for this part is 3.53 and rated as very often. This proves that the use of technology boosted the participation of the students in their group activities as they engage themselves in an online environment.
Next, table 3.4 shows the impact of technology on academic performance in terms of technology literacy. So, according to the results, the computed overall weighted mean in this category was 3.88 and being described as very often. This number implies that the respondents became more literate in the technology utilizing technologies in terms of searching techniques, web page analysis, and application usage as they applied it most of the time in their studies.
So for the next table, table 3.5, or the impact of technology in terms of working convenience. The computed overall weighted mean for this part is 3.55 and rated as very often. This proves that the use of technology offers a lot of convenience as it helps the students to attain higher academic performance as they experience also with easiness and satisfaction.
So, table 3.6 shows the summary of the impact of technology on the academic performance of the respondents. So, based on the results, the computed overall weighted mean of the five categories was 3.63 and rated as very often. So, we can therefore conclude that the use or the integration of technology in the in the academic hours has an effect on their academic performance since they always applied it in their studies.
As the result were being presented, for that, we researchers formulate the conclusion where technology has a huge influence in the learning of STEM 12 students as making their academic performance improve to an extent. Technology also helps them to study during these times of pandemic where every student should not be going out. And as for the days, months, and time loss, and for the sake of their lives, technology allowed them to study at home only needing internet connection and a device to help them connect to the internet like laptops, phones, computers, and etc. Technology also increased the quality and efficiency of the output of the STEM 12 students as it unlocked the path of the internet produced for the student to work and produce higher quality results for their academic performances. As we, as we researchers study this specific matter, we came in the conclusion and now we would like to recommend about several things about this matter. Firstly, we would like to recommend to the facilitators of this learning style to continue to facilitate this since the impact of technology has proven that it comes with positive results as it greatly increased the academic performances of the students. Secondly, we would like to recommend to the parents of the students to at least give some one or two devices that allow them to study online and a device to allow them to communicate to their teachers or classmates for group works or assignments or some question about the lessons. Third, we would like to recommend to the teachers to keep an eye to their students and strengthen their teaching approach and at least provide some trustful and own learning materials since the internet is full of some mysterious information that one student cannot handle alone.
So for the fourth recommendation, we recommend that the technology should be a vital part of the education and should be an essential tool for the students. And for the fifth one, the parents should not always limit their children in using their gadgets or technology, especially when they're using it for educational purposes. And for the sixth one, the teachers must also include lessons about different technologies such as websites, platforms, etc. So the student so that the students can use in their learning and to improve their technology literacy.
So for the seventh recommendation, so what we have here is to constantly improve and develop the use of technology in the education of the students by maximizing and familiarizing it by both the teachers and the students because this can help in their working convenience. So this could bring ease to the both sides in terms of their tasks as both teachers and students. Eight, it is also recommended for the administration of the St. James School of SUBIC Incorporated and the Department of the Education as well to consider technology and e-learning as an essential parts of the new normal and the post-new normal education because of its significant contribution and impact to the academic performance of the today's students. And lastly, we the researchers recommend to the future researchers of this study to explore other more factors involving the impacts of technology, as well as also including larger samples of respondents that they can study and to conduct the research in a longer time, which will enable them to gather more data and interpret accurate and more concrete results. So here are the references that we had used in this PowerPoint presentation and in our study itself. Other more references can be located there at the soft copy and hard copy of our research papers. No? So these are journals, articles, and literatures that we have found online, and hopefully you can also check them for consistency and for relation here in our study. So that is all for today. We acknowledge and thank all of the people who had to help us in accomplishing this research, from our research advisor up to our friends and classmates. So it is our heartwarming and deep-hearted gratitude to all of you. So again, thank you very much.